Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
It's time once again for everybody to come aboard that Green Screens Media train. What is up? This is One and Done, your fast break for all things college hoops. Tonight, we've got a good one for you today. We're going to talk about 5 recent portal commitments inside Mike's Top 300 board over at drroto.com. We're going to start introducing some new segments to the show moving forward, and we're starting tonight with the debut of the Conductor's Corner, brought to you by, of course, yours truly, the conductor of the aforementioned Green Screens Media train. We're also going to talk about 2 transfer classes in our breakdown segments, Oklahoma and Penn State. I am your host. My name is Jay Heinrich. You can follow me on Twitter at Dr. William Cannon for shitposting, video games, baseball takes, 3 Studios references, and Elon bashing, everything under the sun. That's what I'm here for, tweeting from Earth as the location suggests. I'm here tonight with 2 of the best in the business, my brothers in basketball. Going to start tonight with my guy, Eric the Blue. You can follow him on Twitter at FantasyNav in those Twitter streets. The Baron of Bread of Green Screens Media. He is Eric Romoff. Eric, what's happening?
Man, unlike you, Jay, I am not tweeting from Earth. I am tweeting from parts unknown. You will never track me down. And someone who might be going into hiding here soon, Bob Huggins, kind of stepped in it today. Kind of stepped in a big way. He made a radio appearance where not only did he make disparaging comments about the Xavier faithful, but obviously made some derogatory statements towards the LGBTQ plus community. And I mean, things seem to be heating up there in West Virginia, right? This is a program that we've talked about a lot this offseason, somewhat surprisingly, right? Many kind of have them slated as, the winners of the portal season so far. And now, with something like this coming to light, I mean, if there aren't repercussions to this, I think most people are going to be sorely disappointed in the West Virginia program. And I mean, this could range all the way to the end of the Bob Huggins era, right? So it's certainly a piece of news that we're going to have to keep close tabs on, as Huggy Bear made some pretty shameful comments in that radio appearance.
No doubt about it. Huggy Bear definitely stepped in it out there in West Virginia, and he doubled down. He didn't just say it once; he said it twice and found a way to he went right back to it. So that's obviously a little troubling. What's not troubling is the captain of the Green Screens Media ship, El Capitan himself. You can follow him on Twitter at MCHolland34. He is Money Mike Holland. What it do, baby?
Hey, you can't get in trouble if you stay in trouble. It's something that I've lived by. But unlike Bob Huggins, I'm here to talk about some cool news. Bronny James, man, commits to USC. So kind of what we thought was going to happen, staying in that, the LA mix with LeBron there. So all of a sudden USC and that roster looks pretty good with old Boogie Ellis and crew. So yeah, you thought, once Trey White kind of moved out of there that, signs were kind of pointing that this would happen, and pretty calm on the commitment front, right? Like just posted on Instagram. He hasn't really been too much in the spotlight, a la kind of an Arch Manning, and you got to respect that, right? So congrats to Bronny James committing to USC. I'm sure we're going to talk about this USC roster here in the next few weeks as we continue to break down a lot of these transfer portal classes, these upcoming recruiting classes that are going to hit the floor here. And then also Andrew Taylor, man, I thought we were almost there, May 11th, and that this board was going to be settled. But Andrew Taylor, the guard from Marshall, averaged 20 points, 5 boards, 5 assists. Man, first team Sun Belt performer, a lot of fun to watch, has jumped into the transfer portal. And he's going to be someone that is going to have no shortage of suitors, and probably going to be someone that cracks our top 40 or 50 once we re-release our top 300 big board. And that portal window is coming closer and closer to a close, which I am definitely excited about.
I mean, I kind of was hoping it would be extended until forever so we could actually get to that top 400. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5. But I understand, we pushed Mike to 300, and we are plenty happy for that. Of course, you can check out all of Mike's work on college basketball over at drroto.com, especially his top 300, which you can find over there for free. Highly suggest you go over there to the website and take a look. All right, let's dive right in to our topics for the day. As mentioned before, we're going to go ahead and discuss 5 recent portal commitments inside that vaunted top 300. Mike, I'm going to start with you tonight. Number 217 in your top 300, a former SEC guard, a little down transfer action. Tell us about Barry Dunning.
Barry Dunning, man, we didn't get to see a lot of him last year. Great size. He's 6'6", 200 pounds, was a 4-star commit that we were excited about, that big-time Arkansas recruiting class that came in last year, and only played in 16 games, less than a point per game. Obviously, you need minutes to put up points. But this is an awesome pickup for Andy Kennedy. And how much have we talked about this UAB program, especially one that is losing Jelly Walker? We'll have to see Eric Gaines and his NBA decision. Feels like if he's able to come back, him and Barry Dunning obviously going to create a nice little 1-2 punch. But that's what Dunning's looking at, right? There's going to be a lot of opportunity. And how much have we talked about opportunity being big, for some of these guys that didn't get to play a lot last year. And there's 363 Division I schools. And this is definitely a program that has been at the top of our mid-major board for, quite some time. And you just have to like the high-level recruiting pedigree. He's a two-way type player. I just think that Dunning is going to be a real solid player, and I'm looking forward to see what Andy Kennedy is going to do as far as like unleashing him on both sides of the floor. So pretty excited about this move here.
Replacing all first-team, all-world name Jelly Walker. He's got a lot to live up to there, but obviously not seeing that much playing time, looking to definitely increase not only his minutes, but his production as well. Moving on now to number 160 on Mike's top 300. I'm going to go down to Eric now. Eric, tell us a little bit about this former Texas Tech guard that's found a new home.
Yeah, it's Elijah Fisher, 6'6", 190. So pretty good size for a guard overall. And like a lot of the guys that we're talking about in the triple digits of Mike's big board, Fisher comes in at 160. It's a guy that's looking for his opportunity. Only played 28 games last year, 3.5 points, 2 rebounds, but it's not for lack of underlying talent and athleticism. He came in as a 4-star recruit. He was nationally regarded as a top 50 guy on 24/7 Composite, and he's committed over to DePaul. So he brings that recruiting pedigree. He brings that good size for the guard, like I mentioned before. And while his playing time was limited for the Red Raiders, showed some pretty interesting flashes, right? It seems like he can do a few things on the court. So hoping that he can get over to DePaul and get his opportunity. Obviously, Fisher is part of that big wave of players leaving Texas Tech after they fire Mark Adams. And now heading over to DePaul, I mean, Tony Stubblefield adds another talented, at least, high pedigree guy to that DePaul roster that, should be able to see some more run and convert that into production on the court.
I'd take some time to laugh at Texas Tech fans, but it's not like Texas is exactly swimming in coaching success over the last few years after we heard it all from Tech about how they didn't need Chris Beard. And then, of course, Mark Adams is not even close to Chris Beard. But, again, this is a player that can definitely find his way in a new home. Obviously, like coming in as a 4-star, the talent is there. Mike, jumping up quite a bit here in the top 300 to the number 74 player in Trey White.
Yeah, so I mentioned Trey White earlier. Once we heard that he was transferring, we knew a lot of teams were going to be in on him. And Louisville jumping up and snagging one here, man. This kid has a ton of talent. He's 6'7". For a wing, a really good two-way type player. So going to be a force on both ends. And Louisville needs all the help that it can get on both ends of the floor. We saw what happened last year, kind of a disaster. Averaged 9 points and 5 boards for that USC program. And man, he's just a guy with great size. I mean, that's kind of the theme of tonight's show, it feels like. And I mean, he should just get a ton of usage with Louisville. He's probably going to put up some pretty big numbers. You know, Louisville obviously having the mass exodus as well. You know, they're obviously trying to get that roster retooled. They have some nice high school talent coming in to go with Trey White, but he's probably going to be the focal point of this offense. So, you know, him and Mike James, as long as he kind of sticks around, got to be the two guys that are going to get the lion's share of the minutes and the shots at that guard position. And I'm looking forward to him having maybe a 16, 17 point per game season and, you know, maybe crossing that 7-8 rebound threshold. I think he's going to really enjoy, obviously, being one of the alpha dogs there for Louisville.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And again, shocking that Louisville is landing talented players. Like, who'd have thunk it, right? But here we are with Trey White heading over to the Ville. Eric, let's hop up even farther on that top 300 board. Number 27, a player that we discussed early and often in our DFS shows, formerly of Syracuse. You know, we talked about Syracuse quite a bit when they would get, you know, paced up, and as frustrating as Syracuse was to watch at times, Joe Girard was a very big part of that roster and is a super talented player in this portal. Eric, you actually mentioned in our text thread that he probably said something about, you know, I like the color orange, probably because of where he was from or where he was before and where he's committed to now. So tell us where Girard is now.
Yeah, Joe Girard, there's a particular shade of orange that apparently suits him. He's heading from the Syracuse Orange Men to that similarly shade orange for the Clemson Tigers. All the way up to number 27 on Mike's big board here. Girard is a guard. He's 6'1", he's 190. And Jay, like you were leading into, my guy is an absolute bucket, right? He played 30-plus games last year, 16.5 points, three assists flat, 38% from range, right? So there were so many times where we saw Girard just continue to rain it down from outside. And when that happens, he can really take over a game, right? So Clemson is getting a guy that is an excellent scorer, really at all three levels. You know, he can absolutely flip a game on its head and score a bunch of points in a hurry. Usually with players like that, the question mark is on the defensive side. That is the case for Girard as well, right? So maybe he can, you know, tighten that up now that he is heading to Clemson. But, you know, at the end of the day, these Tigers with Chase Hunter returning, they've got a really solid backcourt as Girard keeps the trend alive of transferring in conference, right? He sticks with the ACC here. So, you know, the number 27 player on the board doesn't come around all that often, and Clemson has to be pretty happy with getting Girard.
No doubt about it. And speaking of a player that's not moving very far, staying in the state of Florida, number 15, Mike, on your big board, Matthew Cleveland, staying in state. What does this do for that Miami roster that obviously, you know, we like to say more guard than Shawshank, right? But this is the first non-guard we're talking about today, and Cleveland is a super talented player.
Man, awesome get for Coach Larinaga. Old grandpa over there, right? Striking gold and a little bit more of a slower portal season. But this is an awesome get. I mean, Cleveland, he's 6'7", 200. I mean, we got to watch a lot of him last year. We played a lot of him in DFS. You know, in 30 games, averaged 14 points, 7 rebounds, almost 2 assists. He's kind of a similar version to and maybe a little bit more talented offensively than Jordan Miller. And he's going to slot right into that void, right? So we have to see, you know, what's going to happen with some of the guys in the NBA draft. The expectation is that they come back, and if they do, Miami's looking like a top 10, 15 team with just this addition and getting those guys back. We know that Wong is not going to be there, but when you have a ton of guards like Shawshank, right, like you're going to have some talent coming back for a team that made the Final Four. And yeah, this is like a perfect fit. So a perfect marriage. And he's headed over to the Florida State Seminoles, or excuse me, the Miami Hurricanes from the Florida State Seminoles there. So yes, not going very far.
Super, super talented player, and Miami is going to be dangerous once again. All right, those are 5 key players that have entered the portal and made their commitments. Let us know what you think about those players in the comments. Drop us a line. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what you're cooking and thinking about these transfers and their new homes. All right, as mentioned at the top of the show, we're going to be introducing some new segments to everybody as we move along here in the offseason. And today, as the conductor of the aforementioned Green Screens Media Train, we are going to debut the Conductor's Corner. It's going to be a segment where I talk about a tweet, a recent tweet, and give you a little bit of a take from the engine car right up front. So let's hop on in and let's take a ride. That's right. Blow that whistle, baby. Coming on down the tracks. I love it. On Sunday afternoon, Kentucky head coach John Calipari tweeted a photo of Karl Anthony Towns lounging at Coach Cal's house in what a couple of internet sleuths figured out was like a 5 to 6K chair with the caption, "That's my chair. Who does this guy think he is?" Who is he, coach? He's another NBA talent to come through your program that didn't win a national title. Not only has Coach Cal not won another national title since his only national title in 2012, his Kentucky Wildcats have reached only one Final Four, which did co-star Karl Anthony Towns, and 2 Elite Eights since then. Kentucky hasn't won an SEC conference tournament in 6 seasons and has one regular season SEC crown between then and now in 2020, just before the NCAA tournament and the entire world was shut down due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Coach Calipari's ability to recruit cannot be questioned as he's bringing in yet another big recruiting class, including 4 5-star players in the top 15 ranked players in the country and the number 1 player in the state of Kentucky that's 4-star, but ho-hum, is still ranked number 40 in the entire class. Add up all those numbers, and you do get the number 1 recruiting class in the country. However, Kentucky fans are growing restless over recent performances of their beloved Wildcats, including not making a Sweet 16 since 2018 when, as I mentioned, they last won the SEC Conference Tournament. How much patience should be given to a coach making $8.5 million, making him the highest paid coach in the country, that has cut down the nets in March once in 31 years of coaching and has the baggage of a contestant on the cult classic Jerry Springer hosted game show of the same name? You can't get rid of a guy that recruits as well as Coach Cal does, can you? If his team has another season like the 2022-2023 season, which required a near perfect finish just to make it in to March Madness. Lost my thought. Just to make it in to March Madness after a sluggish start and a few bounces go the other way, we might actually find out the answer to that question. And it's one that Kentucky fans and Kentucky administration may have to entertain. All right. Let's get my brothers in basketball back in here. Lost my spot there on my page, but you guys got the point. Kentucky's going to have to address this if they have another sluggish start. And, yeah, the guy can recruit, obviously, guys, right? Like, there's no doubting that Coach Cal can recruit, but are the results really there for a guy making $8.5 million?
That's a lot of money. I mean, I don't know. I go back and forth on this, man. Like, it's like you can't get rid of him. Like, who else are you going to get to bring in this type of talent? And it's just, I don't know, man. Like, it just feels like some bad luck, some bad bounces. I don't know what it is, but it just seems like every year he's going to have 4 guys that are going to be first-round NBA talent. And, you know, he's worked the portal very well, so it's not like his team doesn't have talent. So, you know, may another coach have done more with that talent? Yeah, obviously, right? But the guy's shown that he's been able to do it for such a long time, even before he was at Kentucky. So, yeah, I don't think you can get rid of him. He's kind of on his own terms. That contract's ridiculous, Eric. I mean, what are your thoughts on Coach Cal?
Man, it's a really weird spot. Like, I think at the end of the day, there's really no world where they see him out the door, right?
Yeah.
Like, He is easily the best and most capable coach in terms of bringing talent into this program. Now, with the size of his contract, you generally expect that talent to, eventually convert into titles, into Final Four runs. And Cal's kind of had a hard time.
Well, it feels like we're prisoner of the moment, right?
Getting out of the first weekend, right?
Yeah.
If anything was anything other than John Calipari, I think he probably would have been shown the door by this point. But the fact that he hasn't says to me that they're probably going to let him continue to cook there for as long as he wants.
But you can't show the guy the door when he's shown before this last 4 to 5 years. I mean, was there anybody doing it better? I mean, I don't know. So
as the game passed him by, we're looking
yeah.
at can you say can you put out that caveat before these last 4 to 5 years? For these last 4 to 5 years, we were having talks on our shows about whether or not Kentucky and North Carolina would even make this tournament. And Eric and I both thought, Kentucky would be there and North Carolina wouldn't. And they barely made it in. 22-12 last season. That's not exactly blowing the doors off of it with the talent that he has on the floor. I understand not being able to cut loose from this guy because the lifetime contract and 8.5 million. I get all of that stuff. But I mean, when is enough? When do you have to win? Even the best have to win at some point.
The expectations, right? At a certain point, Kentucky fans want to see results, man. It's kind of like Texas football, right? We're used to that down here, where it's like when Mac Brown was down here winning 10 games, everybody was pissed off, and
I think I hear some dots connecting here. I think Mike is banging the drum for Cal to get shown the exit.
I was a Mac supporter,
so that UT can just come scoop him up. He can bring all those 5-star classes to Austin with him, right?
Let's not get started on.
I tell you what, it's selling your soul for John Calipari is a lot better than selling your soul for Urban Meyer. So whatever it is that however you want to slice that up, let's we can look at it that way. But yeah, just got to win eventually, right? So went off the tracks a little bit there, derailed during the little bit of that conductor's corner action, got back on the tracks real quick, finish it up, and we appreciate y'all hanging out here watching us today. Let us know what you think about the Conductor's Corner. Let us know what kind of segments you want to hear. Don't forget to smash those like and subscribe buttons while you're around. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us as always. And tell the hoop heads in your life what's going on here. We know you're hanging out with us. We see y'all hanging out and watching One and Done. Tell the hoop heads in your life that we're bringing this heat all off season long. Get them to smash those subscribe buttons, those like buttons, hit those notification bells, do your thing, do your part in that Green Screens Media universe. Moving on now to our breakdown of a couple of transfer classes, as we like to do these days. Going to start with Oklahoma. 4 transfers coming in as head coach Porter Moser did not exactly have the season he was looking to have last year. But Mike, are his fortunes going to change now with this transfer class he's brought in?
Well, I know what's not going to change is how tough the Big 12 is with BYU coming in, Houston coming in, UCF coming through, Cincinnati. So, yeah, it's going to be an absolute epic end to, the Texas-Oklahoma Big 12. But, we say that Porter Moser, right, not a great year, 15-17, but he does have a win over number 1 Alabama and some other quality wins last year. And just kind of speaks to volumes that if you do not get things done during Big 12 play, that your season can be flipped in a hurry. There's a lot of talent leaving this squad. Grant Sherfield's gone. Tanner, the Rose brothers are gone. Jalen Hills in our top 300 is gone. Joe Bamsili is gone. Also a top 300 transfer. CJ Nolan, a top 300 transfer on our board, is gone. Some guys expect to return. Milos Izan and Sam Goodwin. So, we still got the portal in a few days. So, never say that they're completely there until after the 11th. But they're expected to come back. And you got a couple of 4-star guys coming in. And then these transfers, which are going to be very, very important in year 3 for Porter Moser. I do like, as hard as this sounds for me to say this, I do like the talent that he's assembled. John Hugley, we talked about him a couple of weeks ago, number 67 on our top 300 transfer portal board, probably higher than a lot of people see, but that was a couple of years ago, man. Like, this dude was an absolute force in the ACC, and he only played 8 games, averaged 8 points, 3 boards. Before that, he was a 14-7-8 type guy. Really like what he can bring as far as like toughness down low. Javian McCollum, an absolute scorer, man. Coming from Siena, he's also in our top 100, shot 36% from 3. Could maybe slot into that Grant Sherfield type role. Don't think he has quite the scoring type of pedigree that Sherfield displayed. Rivaldo Soros, like, we didn't see a ton of him. We talked about how crowded the Oregon, backcourt / wings were last year, and kind of seen that entire team flipped around as well, like a lot of teams in the country. We'll see what he's able to do. I think he's an interesting piece, can really play defense. And then Latrey Darthard from Utah Valley, part of that starting 5 from Utah Valley that basically got out of Dodge after Madsen headed over to Cal. And I think the big thing for Darthard is stepping into Big 12 play, right? Like, it's, Utah Valley, you're averaging 14-3 and steal a game. Does most of that translate? And that's the thing that we have to see for Darthard and McCollum. I think McCollum, with the scoring pedigree, is going to have a little bit better time trying to handle the rigors of the Big 12. Hugley, big physical guy. I don't think he's going to have any problems making the transition. And Rivaldo Soros is a very physical player too. So we're going to see. These guys are going to be very, very important. Eric, man, like, what say you on these guys? They're going to be probably three starters out of this group. We'll have to see.
I mean, you would think we're looking at least 3 starters out of this group, right? Like, we've talked to half a dozen or so head coaches this offseason alone, and one of the few things that they all agree on is the power that there is in roster retention and getting older and keeping a cohesive core together. And you look up for these Sooners, and all of a sudden, across Uzan and Goodwin, really they're 2 returning players from last year, expected to return at least. These are guys are getting you like 12 points, right? So, like, it's an entirely new roster. Sherfield heading out the door is obviously a big gut punch for this program. But you look at guys like McCollum, who can heat up fast. You look at guys like Darthard, pretty decent combo there to, kind of cobble together a replacement for Sherfield. I mean, Milos Uzan, one of our favorite injury replacement value guys in the DFS world. He's really going to have to take a step up from a pretty solid freshman year, right? So if he holds his trajectory, I do think that there's room for him to continue to progress into this year and years to come. And, really the big question, comes down to Sam Hugley, right? Like, with him only playing, 8 games last year, if he's able to, recapture some of that magic from 2 years ago, Mike, like you mentioned, when he was, like a 14-8 kind of guy, he can really be the difference maker for this team. But, ultimately, they're going to get good energy from Sam Goodwin coming in, and they're going to need it. They're going to need it from all these guys to really step up in a very tough conference yet again.
Yeah, John Hugley, Sam Goodwin, Uzan, all these guys, basically going to have to play their parts. The Big 12, Mike, like you said, it's not getting any easier, right? Like, this is still easily the toughest conference in basketball for me, and not getting any easier, like you said, on that swan song for Oklahoma and Texas. One last team to look at in terms of their transfer class. We're going to move on up north to Penn State. Happy Valley, those Nittany Lions, 6 transfers in this class. New head coach Mike Rhodes basically bringing his VCU guys with him as he's replacing Micah Shrewsbury, who has gone to Notre Dame. Mike, break down this very, very big Nittany Lions transfer class and what that means for them in the Big Ten.
Yeah, usually when you see head coaching turnovers, you're going to see massive turnover on the roster, and that's exactly what we have Man, you've seen Shrewsbury, kind of moving that recruiting class from Penn State over to Notre Dame with him, making Mike Rhodes' job to really get into this portal and get as many quality players as he can get. Penn State coming off of a surprise season last year, losing Jalen Pickett, almost 18 points a game. I mean, it was basically a triple-double threat. Man, the guy was just so much fun to watch last year. And you're losing your entire starting five, like Seth Lundy, felt like he was there forever. Andrew Frunk and Cameron Winter came in and really provided that shooting. They kind of played that almost 5-man type out, really 4 guards on the floor at all times. And the style is going to be different. You talk about Rhodes coming over from VCU. Man, like he did a really good job in the A-10. I mean, he made 3 tourney appearances out of his 6 years that he was there. And Ace Baldwin is a star, man. I can't wait to see him on a little bit bigger of a stage here. Averaged 13 points, 6 assists, 2 steals a game. He's going to be the engine for this team. Going to help soften the blow of the exit of Jalen Pickett, obviously. And then you got a bunch of guys that we're going to have to see, right? Puff Johnson's coming through from North Carolina. Zach Hicks coming over from Temple. Wahab, who was at Georgetown a couple of times, and we'll see how this all shakes out with him as far as being a 3-time transfer. Nick Kern, obviously joining Ace Baldwin from that VCU team, coming over and joining their former head coach there, and then Leo Boyle from Lafayette. All these guys, it's like it doesn't really just it doesn't jump off the page. But all 6 of these guys made the top 300 board, and when you're looking at it and you're trying to build your first roster, the portal is an excellent way to do it. And just by collecting a bunch of talent, it feels like year one. I mean, it's going to be a tough Big Ten, but it should be a wide open Big Ten as per usual, as Jay likes to say. Eric, what's your take on some guys that maybe need some opportunity here and the old linchpin here with Ace Baldwin?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it, right? Like, with Micah Shrewsbury exiting for Penn State, that was a tough loss for the program, but they get a solid backfill in Mike Rhodes, like you mentioned. Mike, Coach Rhodes is coming in, having made 3 NCAA tournaments in his 6 years there for VCU. One of the things that I really like about this class is he brought some of his guys with him, right? You got Ace Baldwin coming in, you got Nick Kern coming in, and obviously Baldwin is probably the splashiest of those names. But if nothing else, just having a few guys in the gym that are familiar with your system, with how you like to practice, with how you like to play, right? Like that kind of smooths out the ramp up period for him settling in as the new head coach for the Nittany Lions. So definitely nice to bring some familiar faces along with him. But like you mentioned, really getting busy in the portal. Aren't a whole lot of programs out there that have, forget 6, 5, 4 guys inside your top 300. So definitely getting a lot of talent to come in with him for year one. Probably going to take a little bit of time to gel just because, these are guys that bring a pretty diverse skill set. So, figuring out who plays what role and where you want the offense to flow through might take a little bit of time. But like you mentioned, yet again, probably looking at a pretty wide open year in the Big Ten. And because it's the Big Ten, we're going to see like 8, 9, 12 teams make it to the tournament. So maybe Penn State can be one of them if they get hot down the stretch. The thing that I'm most excited about, Puff Johnson, not only is he a resident of the conductor of the Green Screen Media's trains all world name list, he is a guy that we have just been begging to get some more opportunity, right? Anytime that someone went down for the Tar Heels, we're like, come on, Puff, this is your chance. Get out there, shine. And now, maybe next to a guy like Ace Baldwin, he's potentially one of the most exciting players in this transfer class. So if he's going to get more opportunity, I'm really, really pumped to see what he can do with it for the Nittany Islands.
Puff being the guy that he is, we may look back. I like to find those guys that we have a little bit, in that below 100 range, that maybe when we look back at this after the season, when we maybe reorder stuff, that Puff Johnson could be a guy with those minutes that we look back and say, damn, that's a top 100 guy, hands down. It's going to be really interested to see what he does with Penn State. And, like you said, all-world name, man. All-world name for show. Hey, you know what show y'all are watching? It's One and Done, baby. This is what we're talking about right here. This is how we do it. The conductor's got his on. The captain's got his on. The Baron of Breads is in the mail somewhere. Got lost in the shuffle. Blame USPS for not doing their thing or whatever. But yeah, we appreciate y'all hanging out with us, watching One and Done. I'm going to go to Eric right now. Anything you want to say to wrap up this edition of this fine show?
Man, a lot of what I've been harping on through most of our shows. Stick with us here, right? I know you're watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and when you do, hit that notification bell. We're out here pushing out transfer portal content, recruiting content. We're going to start talking about some recruiting classes coming up, and here in a few days, we will find the window closing and start to get a little bit more clarity on what these rosters are going to look like heading into the upcoming season. And we'll be getting that clarity from the sources themselves. We are continuing our Great American GSM road trip, working west to east. This week we have Mark Pope from BYU lined up. We have Steve Lavin from San Diego lined up. We've got our guy, the Todd father, Todd Kowalczyk, waiting in the wings. So definitely going to be hearing from all of the greatest minds from around the world of college basketball as their rosters take shape. So make sure you stick here with us.
El Capitan, wrap it up for us. Put a bow on it.
Yeah, man, that window I keep mentioning. Maybe it's just because I'm tired of the portal, but it's 3 days away from when it closes. It would not be surprising to see a few more big time names jump in there. A la Andrew Taylor. Did not see that one coming. There's probably going to be a few more that get in there. And these guys are important. These decisions are important. That's why we've been covering it so hard, so heavy, every 2 to 3 times a week. We're going to kind of move on to, off-season, rosters. We kind of give you a preview of, what Oklahoma looks like, what Penn State's going to look like. We'll continue to go through those. We'll continue to bounce around with mid majors as we go through the rest of May and into June, and who knows, by the end of the summer, man, we'll have this whole thing on lock. We'll be getting ready for DFS season and the first tip and all these holiday tournaments, and it's going to go by pretty fast. I'm just excited and looking forward to everything that's to come.
Make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss a minute of our college basketball coverage. We are covering all the bases. Like Eric said, we got coach interviews coming down. Like Mike said, we're covering the transfer portal. We're going to be doing it all, prepping you so you know those rosters, especially for when DFS season rolls around. And then, Money Mike starts to live up to his name over there. So make sure that you're doing your part. Hit those like and subscribe buttons. Breaking down those portal commitments in the top 300. We're going to keep bringing you those new segments. Like I said, did the conductor's corner maybe derail a little bit? Yeah, we're going to get that teleprompter issue fixed behind the scenes. I'll talk to the producers. I had it. It was in my ear. We're all good. We're going to bring it back the next time.
I thought it was beautiful.
Hey, sometimes, when you got to just, you got the tracks and then get it back on, get it back on.
That's what a good conductor does, though.
Exactly.
We can't all be perfect like Eric.
All day too, just glaring in the distance.
Yeah. Oh man, that would put me to sleep. Just put it on repeat and let me snooze. But don't snooze while you're watching One and Done. And of course, you did not. You stuck around through the whole show. We appreciate you. Smash those like and subscribe buttons. Do not be a stranger. Leave us a comment. He is Eric the Blue, the Baron of Bread, Eric Romoff. Hit him up on those Twitter streets at FantasyNav. He is the captain of the Green Screens Media ship, El Capitan himself, Money Mike, Mr. Mike Holland. I am the conductor of this GSM train. As you know, my name is Jerry Heinrich. Follow me on Twitter at Dr. William Cannon for all of the shit posting that you can handle. Have a nice day. Let's get this bread.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drroto.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.